In this episode of Calmly Coping, I'm going to help you understand how to cope with anxiety that is triggered by family members, significant others, and loved ones. Welcome to Calmly Coping, where I provide overthinkers with actionable tips to cope with anxiety and stress calmly and mindfully. I'm your host, Tati Garcia. I'm a licensed therapist specializing in anxiety treatment. I love running, and I'm addicted to self-improvement books. Join me as I help you understand how to cultivate calm from within while uncovering your unique strengths so that you can live a more fulfilling life. This is episode number 8, How to Cope When Your Anxiety is Triggered by Family or Your Significant Other. Relationships can be a significant anxiety trigger. Your anxiety could be triggered by the fear of conflict, feeling pressure or expectations from your loved ones or family members, or possibly from a fear of disappointing them. These are just a few examples as to why you might feel anxious around your family or your loved ones. The thing is, the opinions of the people that are closest to you matter. As a result, when your loved ones have strong opinions or there are negative consequences when you don't agree with them, it can cause a lot of emotional discomfort for you. Maybe you're a people pleaser and you don't like to let people down, so it's difficult to say no to your family or confront them with a concern. Today, we're going to talk about all of this and more to help you understand how do you calmly cope when your family triggers your anxiety. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by my free guide, How to Be More Productive Without Burning Out. Inside this free guide, you will learn how to create the optimal environment for productivity, how to create a routine to maximize your productivity and focus, and my secret to motivating yourself when you just can't focus. You can find this at calmlycoping.com/productive. In today's episode, which was requested by one of my listeners, I will be talking about how to calmly cope when your family triggers your anxiety or overthinking. I truly value your feedback, so if you have any suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to DM me on Instagram at TatianaGLPC. The link is in the show notes. Imagine you're having a conversation with your significant other about finances. They really want to invest in new furniture for your apartment, but at the thought of this, your anxiety spikes and you continue coming up with internal arguments. But we can't afford this right now. We should really be saving our money. Do we really need to get entirely new furniture? All of these thoughts are spinning around in your head, but you don't speak. You just know that your significant other is not going to understand and it's going to turn into an argument. So you avoid it. You just say, okay, and the conversation gradually changes subjects. But you feel a pit of anxiety in your stomach. What am I going to say if they bring this up again? I really don't want to get into an argument. We really shouldn't be buying new furniture. You feel stuck and frustrated. What would you do in this situation? Today, you're going to learn the causes of anxiety that is triggered by family members and loved ones, along with the top 4 ways to cope with anxiety or overthinking that's triggered by family and loved ones, and how to effectively speak up for yourself to prevent anxiety from building up, along with an action plan with concrete takeaways to help you put these tips into action. Let's get started. Here are some causes of anxiety that is triggered by family members or loved ones. It could come as a result of pressure and expectations put upon you by the other person. This is because you might experience an internal struggle between your wants and desires and those of your loved one. It can also come as a result of fear of negative consequences, judgments, or reactions from the other person. Or maybe you fear conflict or tension in the relationship. All of these causes can result in avoidance of feeling bad or uncomfortable yourself as a result of the other person's reactions. Please note, it is always okay for family members and couples to have differing opinions, but it is never okay to be in a relationship or have a family member that causes you to feel afraid, physically or emotionally unsafe, or controlled in any way. If this sounds like it could be you, please seek out help. If you are located in the U.S., you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or the National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. That's 1-800, the number 4, A-CHILD. So, how do you cope with anxiety or overthinking or any difficulty that's triggered by your family or loved ones? My first tip is to separate yourself from their opinions. This can be difficult because the opinions of your loved ones are often the most important to you, but it is very helpful to remember because ultimately you can't make everybody happy. Are you living your life for yourself or to make other people happy? People-pleasing behaviors can often happen as a result of feeling uncomfortable speaking up for yourself, saying no, or disappointing others. Remember that this is your life to live, not theirs, and you cannot possibly make everybody happy while still honoring your desires and values. Tip number 2 is don't take anything personally. People are always reacting from their own emotions, expectations, and experiences. Maybe your parents want you to have a certain job or education because they believe that is the only way to be successful and happy. And it's based on what they have learned and seen, and it's difficult for them to imagine you being happy seeking another career or training. This might result in you feeling doubtful and anxious about making the choice that you want because you don't want to disappoint your parents. The important thing to remember is that their expectations are reflections of how they view the world and of their experiences. It's okay to disagree, and it doesn't have to be personal. Tip number 3 is to speak up for yourself. The only way relational change occurs is by communicating your thoughts and opinions. Your family or loved ones might not even be aware that their behavior is negatively affecting you, even though it might seem obvious to you, but the fact is that they can't read your mind. So let's return to the example I gave about a couple having a financial conversation about buying new furniture. How do you effectively speak up for yourself in a situation like this to prevent anxiety from building up? So first, you want to reflect and empathize. People are more open to having a conversation when they feel heard and understood, and a great way to create this understanding is to reflect back what you think the other person is saying. So for example, in this situation, you might say something like, "I know it's important to you to feel comfortable in our home by buying new furniture." Next, you want to express your emotions using an I statement. When you express how you feel, it prevents the other person from feeling blamed or from getting defensive. So again, referring to this example, you might say something like, "I feel the same way. I want to feel comfortable in our home and have nice furniture. I also feel anxious about our finances. I'm wondering if this is the right choice right now because it's also important to me to feel secure financially." Next, you want to listen. Just listen. Don't get defensive. Check in with your emotions and have an open conversation. You might be surprised at how your partner responds when you talk with them instead of at them. So the last tip to cope with anxiety or overthinking that's triggered by your family or loved ones is to distance yourself if it's for the better. And there might be a lot of resistance and guilt that can come up if this is something that you choose to do. Distancing yourself by choosing not to interact with this person or maybe decreasing the amount that you interact with them might be an option if you've tried to communicate with this person and you've tried to come to a resolution or a compromise, but things haven't changed. It could be an option if you already don't see the person often, or if they have a significant negative impact on your mood. This can be a difficult decision to make, so take your time and talk things through with a friend or another family member if it helps you. To quote one of my past professional mentors, "The only place there isn't conflict is in a cemetery." Conflict is an inevitable part of any relationship, platonic, romantic, professional, or family. So learning how to confront it and speak up for yourself instead of avoiding it can actually make things easier, as long as you're both willing to work together. Remember to honor your needs and values while still respecting and listening to the other person. To wrap up, today I talked about 4 ways to cope with anxiety that is triggered by family or loved ones. Tip number 1 was to separate yourself from their opinion and respect your desires and values. Tip number 2, don't take anything personally. Tip number 3 is to speak up for yourself by first reflecting their thoughts and feelings back to them, expressing your emotions and thoughts with an I statement, and then listening and having an open conversation. And tip number 4 is to distance yourself if it's for the better. So your action tip for this episode is to have a difficult conversation that you may have been avoiding. Use the tips I shared to speak up for yourself. You can listen back if you need a refresher. I'd love to know how this helps you. You can DM me on Instagram at TatianaGLPC and let me know. Progress only comes out of action. So I know it can be scary, but often the anticipation is worse than the outcome. And I know you can do it. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please share this episode with a friend. And please subscribe and leave me a review on iTunes. Also, remember to check me out online at calmlycoping.com and connect with me on Instagram at TatianaGLPC. All content here is for informational purposes only. This content does not replace the professional judgment of your own mental health provider. Please consult a licensed mental health professional for all individual questions and issues. Till next time, I'm Tati, and this has been Calmly Coping.